Time to start streaming. What do you think?
Hey, buddy, how's it going? Your old pal Ovaltine.
Hey, man. I think it's about time to get the old dial-up modem going and see if we can get this thing happening.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
And away we go. Did I say
good morning?
No, I forgot to.
Okay.
Here we are. Zeros across the board. Tony Caravan with you. I don't want to shout into the microphone, so I got to turn up the headphones. And I put my coffee into a cold mug. I shouldn't have done that. So it's a perfect temperature right now. And that won't last long. This is a different look. We're usually in color or black and white with a little tint, you know. And now that kind of like crazy woman is... We're going to have to like opacity her back a little bit because there's just too much light. We're going to keep her up for a while though. I think that's the way it's going to go. And since we have color today, then that means we can start off with something really nice. That. And I have to remember to look this way at her. It's so weird, though, because the way the screen works. Yeah, it's a nice girl. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Really funny. Really funny. What do you mean funny?
Oh, man, it's early in the morning. It's ridiculous. I guess we should, the only place for that girl and me is under the covers right now because it is 4:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is August 1st, 2021 in the former United States. And, of course, I'm situated in a mid-Atlantic geographic location. As I say, about a mile away from the Northern Appalachian Trail. Entrance. Surrounded by mountains. Basically, you could fill in this valley I'm in, you know. Is it proper etiquette to clip your nails while you're doing a live TV show? Yeah, man, I'll tell you. This face will definitely change in time, I do believe. I think. I do not know. It's hard to say. Let's try that again. Yeah. So, here we are. It's the end of the weekend, and means nothing, absolutely nothing to me. Weekend weather. Let's take a look.
Weekend weather.
And it's currently, as things start to change, it's 57 degrees outside the studio. Today, there's a 70% chance of a thunderstorm, which is pretty good. I guess I'm wondering why. My eyes look half closed. My face has got some kind of weird grin on it. I almost look like I'm half drunk, but I'm not. I just woke up at 3. And I told, the voice assistant that she was fired, and the reaction, they build in all these weird things into those things. It was pretty funny. Anyway, the high today is going to be 77 degrees, 57 for the overnight, and the beginning of your poor, pathetic work week is 75 degrees and then 55 overnight. And it's looking like a couple more 70s, and then it starts getting in the 60s overnight, and then by Thursday, allegedly, we'll be back in the 80s. So remember, we're still in the dog days of summer, and, it's still going to be hot.
Weekend weather.
In fact, sometimes in August, you get those 90s and stuff. You get that heat wave. So, push that aside. Cup of coffee. It's nothing like home-brewed instant coffee. I like the instant Folgers. I like the nightlife. I like to boogie. Yeah, this is
Jukebox Gold.
You know it. And don't forget, it's since we have this thing now, we're going to play it till we get sick of it.
This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah, it is.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Yeah, still got a bellyache, but I'm not going to bellyache about it today. We'll get into the story. There's been one playback for 8 seconds. I can't figure that one out. Crazy, man. Crazy. Title of the show is Will They or Won't They? 8/1/21. And we're in color today. You can see my book Codex right there. And the jackery here is visible. So it's not only controlling the light up there, the on-air light, which you could see the wire going to it because there's light now, but it's also controlling this light directly plugged into it. And of course above it's an old transistor radio. But yeah, this is my book Codex. Get it, because I shall be working on a new book soon, assuming I survive these, whatever they are. I didn't take any of my medication yesterday. I could tell you what I did do, but I don't really want to.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
The thing is, this is the Rock Flux YouTube channel. And sometimes I wonder, I don't wonder. I wonder. Just trying to organize my back. The chair, I feel as if it's some like little guy who's just entered into the screen. This is crazy. Taller man has entered the picture. Stand up, Leon. That's from the live George Harrison album. He was introducing the band. Stand up, Leon. Referring to Leon Russell, of course. People don't know what that is. I mean, who he is and what album it is and all that. I was watching this guy yesterday, Days of Noah with the Z. He's out there. But he's on target with what's going on, And he kind of has that monotone voice kind of like I do a lot of times. So you check out his YouTube channel. I was watching some live broadcast last night. I mean, he knows what's going on. He's got it. But anyway, he showed some interesting documents, like on the CDC and different things like that. That, all this, a lot of these contradictory type of things and stuff. I mean, it's just pretty weird. Did you see the title card today? My mouse is like sticking. That was me several minutes before going on the air. That's taken this morning. It's cuckoo cray cray time. And we don't really need to stare at that because we got my face. So I just thought, yeah, you're on the right place. That's the title card. Food and Garden, you know. Rockflux.com, get the mug. Have coffee with me. You know. So, will they or won't they? I noticed already after yesterday's morning show that in, doing the YouTube pass, looking at the other title cards, i.e., this is a title card, right? That's what I think they're called, title cards. I don't know, whatever they are. It's the YouTube version of the meme, I guess. Certainly people pose and use them as clickbait. I don't. See, mine is reality. What you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. Now, baby, I'm trying to wake up. I mean, there was no reason for me to stay in bed. The thing is, I was, it was one of those, you count the 8 hours type of thing. I went to bed at like 7 o'clock. 7 to 3 is 8 hours. Now, granted, I did wake up once in the middle of the night, but I got back to sleep. So I didn't have a full 8 hours of sleep, but I mainly slept most of the night. And people say you need anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep. 8 is the, kind of the center point of the. Somewhere in the middle you want it to be. I'm going to be in trouble though with this coffee. Because I don't have like a kettle or anything like that. And I boil the water in a pot. And the pot's empty. So I may have to like just put some kind of This Is Insane loop on and boil some more water. But yeah, I still get this like bellyache. It's like a kid saying, "Mommy, I got a bellyache." But I didn't take that medicine, man. I will not take this stuff that they gave me. Call your doctor for medical advice about side effects. You may report side effects to FDA. That's interesting. I haven't seen that one before. Maybe or maybe not that's been on there. But some of the things on here, if I can read from a distance, and it's hard for me with these reading glasses. What are some other side effects of this drug? All drugs may cause side effects. However, many people have I mean, they can't even like type this right. N side effects or only, I guess they meant no side effects, or only minor side effects. Well, the headache was real. But let's go back to that's the additional one. Here's the one that you're supposedly going to get. Trouble passing urine. A type of abnormal heartbeat. I mean, that's good to give you a drug to fuck up with your heart. Has happened with this drug. Sometimes faster abnormal heartbeat, or if you pass out. A severe and sometimes deadly problem called serotonin syndrome may happen. The risk may be greater if you also take certain other drugs. Call your doctor right away if you have agitation, seizures, shivering or shaking, sweating a lot, a change in balance, confusion, hallucinations, fever, muscle twitching, stiffness, diarrhea, upset stomach. You take this pill for an upset stomach. So upset stomach is a side effect. Or very bad headache. Well, I had a very bad headache. And then I took another pill. This was 2 nights ago. So I said, I'm not taking that thing. You got to be, in other words, having a bellyache is one thing. But taking some kind of prescription drug with those kind of side effects for it is another. Will they or won't they is the title of the show. It's August 1st, the last unofficial month of summer. Summer officially ends, September 20th or 21st, sometime around that solstice. But that strange thing, that, for thousands of years, our ancestors have, chronicled in these various stone structures that they've made. It's always the solstice, and this constellation thing, And then there's that whole school of thought of astrotheology. And there used to be this guy, I say used to because he's kind of I don't know, I think he's playing guitar. Last time I saw he was playing guitars on a street corner in, Australia somewhere, Sydney or something. I don't know, wherever he lives, somewhere. He's a good guitar player. But for a while he was doing these YouTube videos, and he was into this astrotheology idea, which is way far out and way different than Rex talks about on the Leak Project. The thing with Rex is he seems like a nice guy. I don't know him personally. But he's such a fanboy of this stuff that, it's and his guests, he's a fanboy of his guests too, which is kind of cool, and it's great, and it's enthusiastic and stuff. But, sometimes you just want to, guys like me who've investigated this stuff, I'm into people digging really deep. And this guy, this Australian guy, and I can't think of his name for the life of me. He just kind of disappeared, and then he was playing guitar on a street, and stuff. It's did they get to him or something? I don't know. It was weird. But he was an amazing character. And he talked fast, but he had it all figured out. And then one time he grew this beard, and he looked like some Indian guru there for a while. I mean, it was a real trip. This is about 2 years ago, I think, a year or two ago. I say I've been on YouTube since the beginning, I guess. Close to it. My first, I see one of my highest rated videos was from 2013. Think about that. Something like that. Of course, my highest rated shows were in the 1990s when there wasn't even YouTube, when we were just broadcasting our own server. But that's a different story. So the big question is, will they or won't they? And so for you people who are news junkies, you're going to watch the morning or the Sunday news shows. What a bunch of hogwash. I couldn't sit through. It's like those birds going around my head, It's like cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. I can't take it. I just can't take these people. It's like an uncomfortable situation in a movie or a show where you either turn the channel. Oh, I don't have TV anymore. Or in the case of, some pay service, you fast forward or something, or just turn it off. Yeah, I'm one of those people. It's like, and I've talked about this before, but do you notice that that's a thing they do now? It's they actually make shows aggravating. Are they trying to get people to pop more, anxiety pills or something? I mean, it's crazy. I'm wearing a shirt today. What do you think of that? It's because it's cold. I mean, It's cold. Previous show, I looked back at the previous shows. It wasn't obvious that I was, the first show I might have had a little bit of a fever or something like that. But anyway, I don't have that thing, even though there's a CDC thing saying that this one PC, whatever, some kind of thing, test or whatever, it's like, it was a warning. This guy, I was watching this Days of Noah guy. And he pulled up a cdc.gov page. So, it's like, first-hand thing, And it was a alert to either an alert to physicians or alert to labs, something like that, on the CDC website. And it was that that particular test was not valid. This is the one they've been using for a year. And the one that they're allowing, like in airports or entrances in the countries, that, if you get, it is cray, man. It's crazy. Well, anyway, I was talking about these Sunday shows. And so they parade out because the corporatocracy, remember, the media is all it's all one big thing, There is no difference between a politician and somebody who's a news anchor, right? They're all the same. It's like there's no difference between a CEO, a news anchor, and a politician. They all go to Davos and sit, side by side at the World Economic Forum, and then I guess go to these group, dinners and cocktail parties. So, they're interchangeable. Cardboard candidates, virtual announcers. Like, who even knows if, some of these people, you've seen those video fakes that they have perfected to such a T that it's just indistinguishable. So the point is, you do not know. Like, for example, this guy right now, the dementia guy, how do you know it's even him when he's making a speech? Right? You wouldn't know, Everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know. I mean, it's never been truer than now. So it's just getting crazy. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm insane. It's tough getting up, See, nobody's watching this thing. Concurrent viewers 0, right? I mean, I don't blame you. It's 4:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. People over across the pond now, for you, it's a different story. It's like 9:30 or something like that. 9:30. Are we in spring ahead? So we're in daylight saving. Are we in daylight savings time, or does that happen in the fall? So I forget. Compared to UTC time, I left my email open. I need to close that for the best possible, CPU, and the CPU just dipped down like to 6.4, 6.2%. But back to these, the reason I brought up these Sunday talk shows, whatever, which are just a joke. They softball these guys because they're all part of the same club, right? And you're not a member, as George Carlin said. So the big question is, and I was saying before, I saw on these title cards, I'm not going to leave you hanging. we'll always get back to it eventually. Is I noticed the network news, this is way after, this is like 12 hours after I brought it up. But they're saying, the on their title cards, because I will not click on a network or a cable news, YouTube thing. They've got no place on YouTube, quite frankly. They've got their broadcast thing. In other words, if they could come here into our land, then there should be like channels, on cable that allow us access to the same public airwaves, right? You ever think about that? Yeah. But they're pretty much muscling out everybody on YouTube. That's their plan. They just, they want to basically take this virtual. They don't really care about the broadcast media cable because so many people are cutting the cord. People are tired of watching commercials. But anyway, so in these cards, clickbait cards, YouTube memes, whatever you want to call them, they were talking about politicians are pushing to extend this eviction thing I was talking about yesterday. Because as of today, I believe, but it's a Sunday, so things like that, I think, in certain legally, it used to be that way, but I don't think, the blue laws days, they used to call them. Sunday, you couldn't sell alcohol, but now the, bars are open on Sunday. There was a time where they had these things called blue laws, and in certain states, on Sunday you couldn't sell alcohol. Liquor stores were closed. All that kind of thing. It's true. Election day, the bars were closed until till the polls closed on election day. So that people, to encourage people to vote, so they couldn't sit in the bars. Yeah. And of course, now we don't have an election day anymore. We have an election, 2 months. It takes 2 months for an election. And it starts, a month or two before. So it's like 4 months of voting. It's kind of crazy. Not kind of, it is crazy. Like I say, it's a former United States. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so yeah, they were talking about it in their memes. So, if you would have clicked on it. Now, just my 2 cents on this. And like I say, I'm not political. It's actually not a political issue if you think about it. It's a social issue. But I'm against it. Like I say, what kind of compensation are they going to give the landlord? And it's like this country. They say most jobs are generated by small businesses. So who hurt the most during lockdowns? Amazon had its best year ever last year. Walmart had its best year ever last year. These delivery services had very good years. It was a very good year. But, somebody who owned a boutique, right? A small coffee shop, not a Starbucks, but a small coffee shop, or, some kind of, whatever, sold any kind of goods. They all, and had like 1 or 2 employees. Well, they went out of business, and they're all like, there's like 4 rent signs on all those places. Well, it's the same story with landlords. Yeah, you got the giant, big, national rental companies, big real estate, add that to the corporatocracy, big tech, big pharma, big real estate too, But yeah, that exists, and that's true. And, and those people have all kinds of tax shelters and ways of, showing losses and, I don't know, pushing things around, taking advantage of the situation and buying up. I saw this other guy talking about, these companies that are buying up properties, taking advantage of the situation of these people that are just have lost so much. So they're just coming in and saying, look, we'll buy your place, but they're buying it at below value. This is as opposed to the Bitcoin and Wall Street people who are trying to cash out and buy hard goods. So they're paying higher prices. This is the people that over the past couple of years have been, and particularly during the lockdown, have taken advantage of these people. But yeah, the big players are always there. But this is, this former United States, I mean, it's still a country, I guess, in a sense. Doesn't seem like it. But there's like in every town, like almost on every street. I mean, it depends on where you are. I mean, unless you get some big suburbia tract or something. There's somebody who owns, half of a duplex or a small rental property. And they're just a person, and it's their income, it's their job. And then they're in there like, because they're like the landlord. And they're clean, and they got these rental people that are trashing these places, and they're in there plunging their toilets and fixing things and all this stuff. And these people haven't had to pay rent in a year or something like that. And they're talking about extending that. Well, aren't they better compensate the individual landlords. So anyone who has, less than, 2 or 3, rental units or something, they have to put a thing on it. Because otherwise, I know what would happen is if they did have an amendment to it, it would end up benefiting the big companies, right? So the big companies would get, thousands and thousands of dollars per unit. I mean, that's how this game is played. Let's face it. My coffee's on the verge of being useless. It's like not cold yet, but it's just about cold. So I may have to go in there and boil another thing. But, they say coffee's good for the liver. Oh, man, the human body. I don't know. I gotta laugh. Like I say, I gotta laugh. I wanted to have some fiber today for breakfast, and I realized I just didn't have anything in the house. All I had was a half a thing of yogurt and some blueberries and some organic coconut flakes. A little bit of raw honey and cinnamon. I just put it in a little container and ate that, so I had a base in the belly. Give me a little bit of energy, food, something in the gut. And now I'm just drinking this instant coffee, instant Folgers. I think it's Folgers. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it is Folgers. Pretty sure. So, yeah, I mean, so are they going to do this, extend this? They have no right to do that. And then what about somebody like me? Like other people in the country. Shouldn't then people who are paying mortgages get some kind of compensation or some kind of thing? I mean, I understand, I guess technically I wouldn't have to pay my mortgage, but then you'd have to catch up. And you don't want to play that game with the banks, because that's what the bank's game is. The bank wants to foreclose on you. You know that. You know, the whole idea is you will own nothing and you will be happy. So they're just waiting there any chance they get to get you behind the 8 ball. So no, there should be like a cash payment, you know, for people. If they extend this, which I say they will, I said that yesterday, then yeah, we should all get the equivalent of our mortgage, or people who are paying their rent should get a cash payment in that amount. You know, how suddenly did this society turn to the point of where the criminal is compensated and the person that is, you know, is just trying to live their life, right, by natural law, you know, just general respect for other human beings and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, sort of thing. Why are they penalized? I was going to say penalized. You say penalized, I say penalized. Speaking of which, my tomatoes or tomatoes are very tasty, and there's a video up on my website, July 31. I shot it yesterday. It's a garden tour. It's not the greatest because it's just like this sea of overgrowth, but at least you get a glimpse of a couple of the tomatoes and some of the stuff just to show you that I really do have this garden. It's out of control. But it looks worse than it does, because in reality, when you're there on, you know, right in the midst of it, that, you know, it makes more sense. So yeah, you know, this will be interesting to see what comes down. Again, I won't watch those, but I'll find out, you know, via YouTube, just with a one-liner underneath somebody's meme that'll say, Congress extends the non-eviction, you know, whatever. People of Earth. So, and then we have next month, now we're in August, so next month, September, is when the question is, will they extend the unemployment thing for those bastards? And if they do, will they give us, you know, non-criminals, you know, our fair share? It's just like these people who go, you know, in these states where they've decided to allow them to shoplift, just walk in the store and grab anything off the shelf and walk out, and the police won't come or prosecute them or arrest them. Well, the idea is that why should anyone pay then? You know? I mean, it's really, in other words, we have a society. It's like all those people that were caught doing certain things during these riots and looting and stuff like that. And they had names and, you know, facial ID and stuff. They knew who these people were who, like, you know, stole all the stuff, broke windows, you know, breaking and entering, you know, all that kind of stuff. Even people who committed like acts of assault and stuff and arson. And they chose not to prosecute them. And they had funds funded by current political candidates, you know, people in office, people part of the corporatocracy, who actually like helped put these funds together to bail them out. So these people were out on bail, and then their DAs decided, oh, we're not going to prosecute. So, you know, that was that. And, you know, the bail fund was, you know, raised by these, you know, these politicians, billionaires. It's no skin off their back. So in other words, we have this thing, and you believe that there's still a place, that the United States is still, like, you know, hasn't fallen. Western civilization hasn't collapsed. When a criminal can walk into a store and just take a computer, right, a laptop, and walk out with it, as long as it's under or whatever, a certain amount, $800 or something like that. You get, you go into Walmart, they've got laptops for under $800. They just go in, grab that, walk out, and that's that. That's their way of shopping. Or they could go in and grab a handful of, 4K, videos or gaming console or whatever the heck it is. And that's that. Then you go to the register and then you got to pay $100, for whatever you bought. And some person just walked out with like $750 worth of stuff, scot-free, and gets into probably an SUV that they haven't made a payment on. And then they go back to their apartment that they haven't paid the rent on in a year. Or a house that they haven't paid their mortgage. And they're getting $600 extra every 2 weeks on top of unemployment. So they're making $1,200. And now if they have like kids, they're getting like cash payments per kid. So these people are like living like, well, they're living like kings. Right? They're flush with cash. They could get any object dart they want. I think I want a new dress or a new purse. Okay, go to the store, just take it off the shelf and walk out. And go back to your overpriced apartment or big house. And you don't have to pay your mortgage, which in most people's cases is like one of their biggest bills. Right? So they don't have that payment to make, but yet they're getting this, more unemployment than it would be if they worked. And now they're getting per kid cash payment from good old Uncle Sam. But you and I, see, that's the thing that bothers me, How do they square that, with the public? And I don't care because I know they're not going to square it with us. But what bothers me isn't so much that, because I know that, right? It's a SOP, standard operating procedure of the authoritarians and these freaks, right? Corporatocracy. It's part of the Great Reset idea. Just totally mess up the economy and, so they could have absolute rule and totalitarian police state or whatever the hell they're trying to do. What bothers me is that no one watches this show where I bring this up, but B, people don't, the reason nobody watches this show and shows like this, I noticed Days of No, he had at least over 1,000, 1.2 thousand people watching his live thing or something. But I mean, still in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's a joke that I get like one viewer, like right now. But, it's still a joke for these poor guys to get like 1,000 viewers, I mean, to get one viewer is preposterous, right? Absolutely preposterous. It's comical. But nobody's going to do anything about it. See, the thing is, people accept the fact of that injustice. So the idea is that, yes, so what? These people could just walk in a store and take whatever they want, but you got to pay. But the thing is, you don't have to pay. Right? And if they extend this thing, will people be up in arms and say, well, if you're giving them free rent, then why don't you pay my rent? If you're letting them not pay their mortgage, then why don't you pay my mortgage? Because it's the same thing. And if in September, if they extend this unemployment extra over the top payment, then the average other person should be compensated. It should be based upon reality. In other words, it's, for example, with the job market. Right now, people are begging people to come to work. They cannot get employees. Like I said, I know firsthand, right? Because even though I'm retired, I'm like the charity guy. I still help people out. I've got some, friends that I'll do some things for. Like make a sign for their front, big sign printed in with nice graphics. Help wanted, And, one of these guys, that sign's been up now for like 6 months. Can't find anybody. And the guy's like almost at retirement age, and he's got to work 7 days a week because he can't find employees because nobody wants to work. So it's not like there aren't jobs there. And, and the money thing now is interesting too, because I don't know if you've heard those stories where they're giving like, come back to work and we'll give you a comeback sign on bonus. And I'm not talking about some corporate office job because those things have all but disappeared. People are doing that stuff from home. They're going to cut them off too, by the way. They'll eventually just be replaced by algorithms, AI and stuff. If they're working from a computer at home, their big mistake is that they're working from a computer. Because what will happen is eventually all those keystrokes, all that stuff is being fed into the AI, system. And what they are doing will be eventually just replaced with AI. So those jobs will be eliminated. So have fun thinking you're like, hey man, I could do this. I could do this easy, man. I could do this forever. This is great. Staying at home, hanging around, sitting here in my underwear, working, making 60 grand. Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, right. Good luck, buddy. Next year, you're going to get a little email from your boss that says, we regret to inform you that your position is no longer necessary with our firm. Right. But this unemployment crap, man. No. If they're going to give them an extra $1,200 a month or whatever the hell it is, even if it's $600 total, but it's about $1,200, some people. Expires in September. Then they need to give us $1,000 a month. Because the reason being is that there are jobs for those people, and there are higher paying jobs than even the unemployment that they're getting. See, the argument before was that people weren't going back to work because they were making more money by being on unemployment than they would if they worked. But now if you go to the government websites that keep track, and even some of these Wall Street firms that track this kind of stuff, because that's economics, and that's how they base, their projections, profit projections and all that stuff. So they're constantly looking at, in depth into the numbers of available jobs, people who are working, and all that kind of stuff. That's like a Wall Street thing, more so than even a government thing. But the two in tandem, if you dig into the numbers right now, you will see that there are millions and millions of jobs available right now in the U.S. And they're all good paying jobs. People just don't want to work. And in a lot of these so-called blue states, as they call them, they've been up in the minimum wage, that it's a living wage for doing a crappy job. You know, that's another thing that people like make a mistake at. You know, when I was a dishwasher in high school, you know, I had a couple of I told you I started working when I was 16. I worked before that for my family doing stuff, you know, at the print shop. But when I got my Social Security number at age 16 and got a job, and I was stocking shelves at Rite Aid and working as a busboy, right? Kitchen help at Boscov's, you know, department store restaurant, you know, doing stuff like that, or going down the shore and working as a not a short order cook, but like working in like the pantry level, passing, you know, taking the, you know, giving the sodas and, you know, passing the orders to the chefs and fulfilling the simple quick things like the, you know, giving the waitresses the sodas and the drinks and the stuff like that. Scoops of ice cream or goofy things, whatever I used to do. That was fun though. That was down the shore. Those waitresses were freaking beautiful, man. Yeah, they were all like that, man. They were all. I can still see the faces of some of those girls, man. But you know, when I worked those jobs, you know, I get paid minimum wage. You know, because, you know, think about it. You're bussing a table. You're a dishwasher. You're stocking a shelf. Right? You're like filling a glass with Coke or Pepsi. Putting a scoop of ice cream in a metal bowl. And you're supposed to get paid like a big wage for that? No. Sorry, man. That's like a lowly job. You know? And it, you know, and I did it. So, you know, don't say, well, you're criticizing me. It's like, no, I did it because I was 16, 17, and that's what you do. You know? These people aren't working when they're 16 and 17. Right? Oh, and $15 an hour to, you know, put dishes in an automatic dishwasher. Right? Or to like pick plates off of a table and wipe it off with a rag. I want $15 an hour to do that. Get real, man. That's like, you know, screw you. And don't you have a college degree, by the way? Oh, that's right. You got it in some kind of like certain in social issues, whatever. You a totally meaningless college degree, and you want your student loan forgiven because you were foolish enough to get a degree that serves no purpose, and there's no job in the world that no company in the world that has any use for a person with that degree that you got. Those universities ought to be sued for that. You know, they turn the universities into like just money-making machines. So, yeah, and that's not to say that there aren't some people on unemployment, you know, that over the past year, you know, deserved, or you could, or it could be justified that they got, you know, extra benefits, you know, certain skilled laborers, certain union type of jobs that are, you know, these people are highly skilled in what they do, and, you know, and their job because was eliminated due to some government edict that those people didn't deserve, you know, a leg up, you know, for a while. But, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about there's millions and millions of jobs. You could go check it out. And nobody wants to fill them. And then people don't want to even work at Taco Bell, places like that. They're given sign-in bonuses. I've heard some ridiculous things. I don't want to repeat them because I don't want to be, I don't want to give false numbers. Let me just look here because I haven't. Let's look here. New window. I'm not looking at you now. I'm looking at the computer. Let's see. Sign-on bonus jobs. Let's see what they're saying here. Geez, they even have them like sign-on bonus jobs near you. 5K sign-on bonus, Liberty Mutual. Nursing assistant, now, sign-on bonus. Nursing assistant. All right. Hospice aid, 1,500 sign-on bonus. All right. Sign-on bonus, 10,000 signing bonus jobs, employment, Indeed.com. All right. That's one of those places. Let's look at this. This thing, for some reason, wants to do stuff near me. I'd like to see it around the country. But here we go. I'm just going to give you an example. This is right off the website. 1,000 signing bonus store team member. All right. 500 after 6 months. First 500 full pay period. After hire, 500 after 6 months. So they want you to work there at least 6 months. But you get 500 in your first check. Warehouse package handler. These are just regular jobs. $200 sign-on bonus and $21 an hour. FedEx ground, right? And that's just a package handler. That's like a joke job, man. You go in there and just shoot the shit with a bunch of guys in a warehouse. You get paid $21 an hour, and they give you $200 just to take the job. $300 sign-on and $15 an hour job to work in the kitchen. 1,000 sign-on bonus. Well, that's ridiculous. That's $34,000 to $45,000 a year there. But yeah, registered nurses. The health industry's like hurting big time. $10,000 sign-on bonus. 1,000 new hire. Stitch Fix, whatever the heck that is. Crew team member at McDonald's. Right? Up to $1,000 sign-on bonus to go work at McDonald's. That's right here in my area. $1,000 sign-on bonus. The hospital I was at. Associate. Doesn't say what the sign-on bonus is there. Traffic control flagger. Those flagging people, which are mostly being taken over by computers. All right. Oh, like 20 some bucks an hour. Nurse's aide, $23 an hour. Telehealth position, America Healthcare, up to $150,000 a year. I mean, this is insane. Amazon services, HR, investigator, and basically to rat on people who are human resources. $64,000 to $112,500 a year. Accommodations consultant, $48,000 a year. Weekend inpatient therapist, $37.50 an hour. Anyway, I just wanted to double check to make sure that was true. So, yeah, I mean, it's insane. $1,000 sign-on bonus here. And believe me, where I am, this is like kind of nowhere's land to work at McDonald's. And it's legit. It's like $500 in your first paycheck. and they want you to stay there for 6 months. But that's not a long time to work. You know, if you go in now, you could quit, quit around Christmas time. And then $500 in 6 months, the balance. And they're paying high wages now. It's not like you're getting minimum wage anymore at these places. You know, in fact, the state senator from this state where I am is pushing the $15 an hour thing big time. So the companies have been inching up. But I mean, this is frickin' McDonald's. Some of these other jobs were just in the warehouse, loading trucks, stacking boxes. And they're giving you a $2,000 sign-on bonus and, whatever, $23 an hour. I mean, and people are saying, oh, so it's not so much, they can't use that excuse. Last year, there was legitimately excuses because it was a shock to the system, but it no longer is. And it's the same with this eviction thing. If they extend this eviction thing, they need to compensate the rest of us, right? Because these people are never going to, in other words, they haven't paid rent in a year. Okay, or their mortgage, I guess some people. I don't know exactly. I'm openly admitting that. I know the eviction thing, right? Now, I paid my mortgage every month because it's only $200, taxes, mortgage, and insurance. Because I was smart enough. I saw this thing coming down the pike years ago, and I was smart enough to buy this cheaper piece of property. So my costs are down. So I'm going to pay it. Plus, I don't want the bank. I don't want to be in foreclosure because the banks, they don't care about even selling the place. They just want to get you in this situation where you own nothing and you will be happy in their minds. That's the Great Reset. If you don't believe me, go to their website, the World Economic Forum. They actually have commercials for that. You could watch the video, some soy boy saying, you will be happy. You will own nothing and be happy, right? It's like, look, there's certain things you want to own. I'm not a big materialist. Screw that. Like I said, look behind me. I got all these artifacts. This is basically my set. Because normally the show is broadcast in black and white. And so I've got the old 60s phone, the 60s radio, the transistor radio. And of course, that light, that bright white light, is that Jackery thing, which I'm selling on Great Solar Stuff, which you should have one of those in case they messed with our power. But anyway, yeah, I mean, so will they or won't they? Today's the day. I mean, if you're one of those people, my coffee's cold now. Man, do I hate that. The cat's doing some major production in the litter box in the other room. You can't hear it because this is a directional microphone. I got to talk right into it. My Johnny Cash. But this isn't, unlike that other mic that was so flawed, I can't get a good Johnny Cash voice on this one. And if I pull out the guitar, you can't hear the guitar because, on the side, it doesn't have that. That other one was like omnidirectional. So, I guess we're not even cattle anymore. Those days are over, right? It's just really kind of strange, what's going on. So, yeah, I guess tomorrow's show we'll talk about that, because they'll probably make a decision today. I mean, they can't let it, go, go to legislation. Like, in other words, they're going to have some kind of emergency thing before midnight tonight. Because today is the 1st. Do you ever notice that if I do this, if I look down this way with the mustache and stuff, like watch the shit. Let me see if I could pull up one of these things. I have to move this over. This is just kind of freaky. New window. Let's take a second. Come on. See if I can. This, there it is. Okay. I mean, I really don't care about. I mean, I talk about vanity and stuff like that, but let me see. I got some stuff here I could get rid of. Where are we? Bear with me, folks. Just take a second. I noticed these goofy things. Yeah, this is, and they're getting ready for that too. We'll be talking about that in a second. But horror woman. I'm trying to find sea monkeys. They're still there. And let's get rid of that. I guess I'm going to have to put in a new image. I didn't want to do this. Okay, new image. I don't know what we'll call it. We'll just call it 1984. How does that sound? Like that Bowie song, Unload Image. Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, it's going to get, it looks like it's going to show it. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly, but like, you ever see, like, maybe I'm the 1984 guy. But, this bears bringing out, I mean, this is an overused analogy of what's going on right now, but might as well put it up since I got it. I'm the 1984 guy. Once I got to get a little bit older to be that guy. I'm actually probably that old, but that's like this illusion I have, because I look at people I went to high school with. I've said this before, and I'm like, man, you look old. I don't know. Hey, look, I admit, I use Just for Men on my mustache, You see the white down here at the bottom of the goatee. There are photos of me in videos, though I've shot videos where I had pretty much, I look like an old guy. But, you feel as good as you look, in some instances. But anyway, so, we've gone beyond, it's almost like they used 1984 as like the playbook, that kind of thing. That it's so absurd that you can't even, like, you wouldn't. If somebody told you this 20 years ago, you would be like, nah, you're it's never going to be like that. That's not going to happen. Yeah. Like, you just wouldn't believe it. Even, I mean, and what's going on now, it's fantasy. In fact, 1984 and Future Shock and, Brave New World, all those, a lot of this dystopian classics, they were written for the times, more or less. They were, in other words, the setting was futuristic, but it was really, it was commentary on what was going on, with socialism, communism, basically the authoritarian, totalitarian states that failed. And then hundreds of millions of people died in the 20th century because of. But that was their original, if you can see interviews with those authors. And, it's funny. It's not funny, but I mean, it's sick that, people just don't, the reaction of people to me is more disturbing than the acts themselves. You see? Like the non-reaction that people just keep taking this stuff. And they feel, we'll donate to the Save America campaign. Yeah, you're right. If I take the glasses off, yeah, I'm that guy. There's some earlier video of me that I really look like. Yeah, I looked at it and I go, that's me. But for right now, I need the glasses because I can't see half this shit I'm looking at. But, this is the thing. People will not. I was responding to a chat for somebody who wondered what I was just talking about. Verbally, rather, as opposed to typing. Because the chat's hidden behind where the screen that I'm working at. But be that as it may, what I was getting at is that if you donate to, if you're a Build Back Better person, a Great Reset person, or a Save America person, and you feel that you're doing something and you're a part of something because you're sending in money to one of these places. Like I look today, like I say, over the years, I've supported all sorts of groups, raising money until I found out the truth. It's like a John Lennon song. I found out. Oh, and by the way, yesterday, speaking of John Lennon, I attributed a quote, "Your teeth are clean, but your mind is capped," to John Lennon. Well, technically it was John Lennon, but John Lennon used to, in that particular quote, he went by Dr. Winston O'Boogie. It's a little bit of trivia for you folks. But I lost track of what I was saying. But people actually, you're donating money to these causes. All it does is end up going into political coffers, which end up giving the corporatocracy, the networks, advertisement bonus money. And so that the very people that you think, you're supporting are actually, you're supporting the people who are against it and who are propagating this corporatocracy. But yeah, we are way beyond the 1984 thing. Way beyond that, man. Way beyond that. People have no idea. You should watch the original. They've remade that movie. I haven't watched the remake. But I watched the original, I don't know, like a year or two ago. Rewatched it. And it's sick. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. I mean, I read the book when I was younger. But the movie was done fairly well, but it's like, it's sickening. Yeah. But that's what's going on, man. And, and everybody knows it, and, they talk about it, but they just take it. That's the thing I'm trying to get across. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if it would work or what, but, I've already complained to my, senators and congressmen, and I've gotten letters back, and I'm on their mailing list. And there was one time I talked about where one of them got involved in something where I was being like kind of victimized by some predatory collection agency. You know, these people that try to like just extort money from people. And they did get involved. And that scared the crap out of a magistrate who basically then, you know, said, oh, well, I'm not going to take anything from any calls or anything from these people anymore. So it's not like, you know, on a local level, you know, or statewide level, you can't get some results by writing your congressman. Like I say, well, not where I am now, but where I used to be, I knew the congressman from that district. He was a guy same age as me. He went to a different school, but we knew each other. And we used to drink and have beers together. And so, you know, these people are accessible. And what, you know, the average person will not do when people say, write your congressman, right? They just think, well, maybe somebody else will do it or nobody really cares. It's like, no. You say, simple thing. If you're going to extend that eviction, you know, moratorium, then make sure you put in compensation for those of us who are actually putting out. Right? And the same goes in September or whenever. If you're going to extend this, you know, with all these jobs that are offering cash bonuses up front and are paying, you know, way above the minimum wage, you know, we're already at the $15 an hour or above level for just jobs. And somebody's sitting at home just collecting. Then the idea is that, well, then send us. Okay, well, then we need to be sent, you know, $1,000 a month, and if you're going to extend that. You know, that's what people need to do. You know, hundreds of thousands. You know, it doesn't take many, you know. I'm not Ralph Nader, you know, I'm not a total fan of Ralph Nader's, but, you know, Nader did do some things like, you know, went after the automotive industry in the 60s and won, and that's why we got seatbelts. But, you know, he's an old man now, but I mean, you know, he's a little bit too far on the left. But as Nader always said, you know, he was right. He said, it doesn't take many people, you know, to affect change. It's just that people don't realize that. In fact, that's how the powers that be became the powers that be, because they understood that. They know that apathy reigns supreme and that people just sit back and let it happen. And they think, oh, somebody else will complain, right? Somebody else will do it. It's like, what does it really take? And you could probably email these guys nowadays, or you could just call a number. It's not like you have to. Some people are afraid they might have to talk to somebody. Look, your congressman isn't going to answer the phone. 9 out of 10 times what's going to happen is you're going to receive a recording. It says, thank you for calling the office of Congressman or Congresswoman such and such. You know, if you have, you know, and you'll have a menu choice, and you just leave a message and say, look, I'm against you extending this thing unless you give us, you know, the rest of us an equivalent or some sort of compensation as well. So you don't have to talk to anybody. And if you do have to talk to somebody, you're going to talk to some lowly, like, you know, intern type of person. Who's going to say, okay, thank you, and is going to hopefully check down the box. And they get enough calls, you know, pro and con to a thing, then, you know, they feel the pressure. You have to remember, particularly with Congress people, more so than senators, because, I mean, the Senate races are, that's, you know, they're bought, you know. I mean, that's big time. You know, if you notice most senators, you know, they're people that have connections, you know, big connections and stuff, you know. But the Congress people are just regular people, and they want that job because that's like good money. It's a good lifestyle. And, and they're up for grabs every couple of years. So they, it's not like senators, you got 6 years, So they do listen to their constituents. And like I say, as Nader said, it doesn't take much, a lot of phone calls, coming in could literally just be in the thousands. And that's enough to get a congressman like a little unsettled. And when he goes to the floor saying, hey, talk to some other people. And if other people did it, go, we may want to throw some bones in here for other people. We've been getting a lot of calls of people saying that, they want something too. Especially in this era of free money. Because that's the whole thing. It's free money. And I know the libertarians hate me for that. But the point of the matter is, the Fed's just creating these ledgers in the sky. And they're just propping up the Treasury. They're propping up Wall Street. The plunge protection team still exists. They started that under like Reagan, I believe. And so, they're not going to let, they got money, they don't have to print it anymore. It's all digital. And, they're moving to the blockchain and there's talk, serious talk. It's on, on the financial, people are talking about it. The billionaire class are talking about, the Fed possibly creating its own crypto. And that's another reason why a lot of Bitcoiners are trying to get into hard goods, like buying real estate and different things. Because they know that's just, what is it? It's just ledger, right? It's money on a ledger. And what good is it? The price could go down. I mean, remember, Bitcoin was up to 65,000. I just checked it yesterday again, but it was up to 65,000 at one point. And I think yesterday it was like 41. Let's see, current Bitcoin price. It's still 41,899. So like $42,000 for a Bitcoin. So, but it was dropped down to like 32 just several weeks ago. Well, that's a loss of, of $10,000. So, why not go out and buy something for 10 grand? Some hard goods for something for 10 grand. That's what I always tell people. Go to my locals.com, TonyCaravanLive.locals.com. You give me a Bitcoin donation there. You have to send me a whole Bitcoin, a fraction of a Bitcoin. People don't understand that. Just send a fraction of a Bitcoin. Chances are you're going to lose it anyway. I told people before when it was up to 65 and then it went down to like 30 some. You just lost $30,000 per Bitcoin. I knew one guy he only had like 3 or 4 Bitcoins. So, but I said, you just lost $100,000 because, and I told you, give me a fraction of it, send me like, 0.0, 5 or 0.01, 0.03 Bitcoin or something. Because at that high price, it would have been worth like, $6,200 or something, whatever. I'd figured out something. So the guy ends up losing $100,000. And I'm going, well, thanks, man. The idea is what I was trying to tell you is, that $6,200 that, you were hanging on to, like a fool and his money. Well, you just lost $100,000. Anyway, that's why people are doing what they're doing. And I showed that sign yesterday that's like in the neighborhood. I could show it again. since the show is going in that direction anyway. I turn on my iPhone because I have it on there. Ingsoc, it says on that 1984 logo. Yeah, 1984, man. Crazy. Crazy. I'm getting my phone ready. I actually will show you. Let's see here. iPhone. Put the iPhone on. This is a little bit of my garden tour actually from yesterday. I'll move this over here so it's like less interfering. That's my lounge chair in the backyard, so you get to see a little bit of the garden tour. And that's the my little outdoor greenhouse. I don't know why I'm getting these notifications. I don't even use Twitter. Look at all that growth in my garden. It's in like super slow-mo. You see some tomatoes there. This is just like overgrown oregano. I just want to show you my little mini greenhouse. I can't really fast forward this the way this is set up, so. I mean, let's see if I can. I want to get to tomatoes. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Look at these tomatoes. Look at him. And like I say, I'm letting it grow over because I really don't care. But look, you see there. I can't take any more of these red, ripe ones in the house because I have a dozen ripe ones sitting on my counter already. I've been giving them away. Look at that. Tons of them, man. Actually, I didn't intend to do that. Okay, so. But no, what I really wanted to show you was not that. I wanted to show you this. Oh, come on. We buy houses. And basically it says any condition. And I'm starting to see these signs plop up everywhere. Anyway, that's my iPhone. Let me turn that off. Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. And Trey, if you're still watching, I didn't go to your page today, but here's one of your other pictures. It's a Trey Fergus original. It's a nice one, though. I do like this. It's one of my favorites, You got the bird, the reflection, the sun, the clouds, waves. That's a nice one. But yeah, I don't think that, I think that people have like passed from this idea. There's still people that are like ridiculously still afraid of stuff. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So I was watching this Days of Noah guy, the guy with the Z, Days with the Z, okay? And my back is bothering me, but I think it's this chair. And he was talking about Geez, I lose my trend of thought when I just get into too many different. I got a million thoughts that I want to go through, and I lose my trend of thought. What was I trying to say about what this guy said? It was an interesting thing. Fear, the whole idea of being afraid. Man, it's just temporarily lost my mind. We'll keep the picture up. It'll come back to me. But I don't think personally that as many people are, there still are people. Oh, no, I know what he did. He found this thing, okay? Hats off to these guys who find these things, right? It was a Twitter thing, and it was something about hospitals being overcrowded because of this new latest thing, on top of the thing, and I'll talk about it. And it was a specific wording, and it was like a sentence and then 2 paragraphs type of thing, whatever, this tweet. And then he showed something like, I don't know if it was 9 a dozen or whatever, put on the screen different people, like different faces, different names, different accounts that all had the exact same tweet. And it was the idea that I work in the ER and it's overcrowded and it's like whatever. That's the thing. So this was like pushed out by, the corporatocracy, big pharma or somebody like that. And I was saying, I went into the ER. What the heck is that noise? It's like my power meter suddenly making noise. I never heard that before. So I went in the ER a couple of days ago because, as you know, anybody who watches this show knows that I was dealing with some problems. And there was nobody there. I mean, nobody. It was like empty. I was the only person in there. And the hallways were empty, right? The waiting room was empty. Of course, I didn't have to go to the waiting room. They took me right in because there was nobody there. And they said, once they took my info and blood pressure and stuff like that, they said, go to this area and you're next in line and go have a seat over there. And I went over there and there was all the seats were empty. They just sat there. Then they took me back into another room. And then I ended up in another room and there were a couple people, but they were just people there who were there for like waiting for a specific test. So like it was an outpatient room, like somebody waiting for a CT scan, which they ended up giving me, that kind of thing. But there were the ER was empty. And so this guy put up this thing and he was showing all these actual tweets from all these different accounts. I forget if any of them had blue checks or anything on them. Probably a couple did. Because they all work in concert doing that stuff. So that's crazy. My Jackery is making a noise. The fan came on. So I don't know if that's natural or normal. The thing explodes behind me. I got shrapnel in the back of my neck. But anyway, I like this lighting, so I hope the thing goes off. I need to recharge that thing. I have not charged that thing in 6 months, and I've been using the on-air light and different other things every day. And that thing that's giving us light, the bright light underneath the transistor radio, that's like just a night light. so that's like a 5-watt bulb or something. So I don't know why the fan's on or whatever. So maybe it is time I give that a recharging and whatever. But yeah. I don't know. Weird. That's weird. My coffee went cold. I was drinking iced coffee. I don't know if you remember that. Anybody who's been here long enough. Before I went back into the soft drinks. So what the heck? Cold coffee, why not? It's like, it's like iced coffee where the ice melted. It's one of those things.
I fear no evil.
So I'm really wondering,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I'm really wondering and curious to see how all this stuff comes down. So today and tomorrow will be like an interesting first step. The second step. The first step was when they passed that child tax credit, which was actually a payment. So they basically negated what Clinton did, and they officially brought back the welfare state by paying $250 to $300 per child. To families. And so what that means is that, and since this, to make this show all inclusive and its own entity, so this is, talked about this a while back, a couple shows back, but these shows need to be complete in case somebody, just watches one show. Well, in this child tax credit, and I had posted a picture of it, that, and I could bring it up again. Let's see. But I just want to find. I don't like having too many odd images. Okay, so let's just replace this one. Properties, browse. And I have to remember what it was called. But this was the first step of the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. And I know I didn't get rid of it. Well, I'm about 60% sure I didn't get rid of it. I'm just looking through my file right now. Free money. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So, yeah. This is an explanation of the enhanced child tax credit. Okay? And the idea is if you filed your tax, if you claimed the child, all right, you're automatically enrolled. So you don't even have to do anything. And, I was talking to somebody, brought to you by President Biden, Senate Democrats, monthly advanced child tax credit payments. See, I was talking to somebody who said, oh, that's a tax credit. It's not a payment. I said, no, this is the official document. All right. Came to me from the state senator that helped me one time. I'm on his mailing list, so I get this stuff. And I was trying to talk about that before, I get emails from Bernie Sanders, from that group One, of course, the Save America people, from, Amy Goodman and Democracy Now. It's like if you ever communicated with or gave $1 or $5 to somebody, you're eternally going to be swarmed with mail, And like I said, over the years, I've supported people on individual issues sometimes, but it's, I'm not political. I don't, like I said, I'm not a centrist because I'm not left, right, libertarian, green, anything. All right. I'm not middle of the roader. I'm just my own man. I just don't believe in politics anymore. I think it's all pop culture. I think I think government's a corporatocracy. It's just too controlled. But anyway, if you look at this on your screen, families will receive payments of up to $250 a month for each child 6 to 17. To 17, man. All right? That's into high school. And $300 for age 0 to 5. So and I said, and I showed this was several shows ago, and I was trying to explain, I'm going, do you know how many people are like doing the Humpty dance and are trying to get pregnant, over the past months or weeks ever since this thing came out? This is in Pennsylvania that I got this. Because I was living in, at the time, I was living in this place, which this building that has since been sold. It was some hoarder destroyed it who was renting it from. It's a longer story. I lost a lot of stuff on that building, but that's how I ended up. That was where I was when I originally dealt with this senator. But anyway. $300 for each child, up to 5, and then $250 a month. 17, a 17-year-old. Like I told you, when I was 16, I was working. I was like stocking shelves and working as a busboy, and just doing odd jobs, making my own money. And of course, in those days, I'd be lucky if I was making $250 a month. Of course, the minimum wage was $1.65. But anyway, so this is the reinvention of welfare. So if a family has like 3, toddlers, the kids pre-kindergarten and under, right? That's $900 a month cash. But see, what I was trying to explain in this previous show, and this ties in with this eviction thing and with the unemployment deal, this extra free money and stuff they're giving people, is that if you're on welfare, so in other words, if you're already on welfare, you get free health care, no deductions, all right? Or you under the poverty level, all right? Free health care, no deductions. You get EBT, electronic benefits transfer, used to be known as food stamps. So you get $100 to $195. It depends on the state you live in and how many kids you have or whatever it is. But you get free food. Right? You do not pay for food. Okay? And housing, they have something called Section 8 housing. You can get Section 8 housing. Means government pays your rent. Okay. And then there's all sorts of other things, free daycare, and you can go to other places and get other things and discounts on things, right? You get a free cell phone, smartphone, all the expenses the average person has, So the average person's, they got to pay rent or mortgage. They have to buy their own groceries, right? They've got health care, co-pays. They got to pay a cell phone, smartphone bill, all this jazz. They got to pay for daycare if they have a job or something like that. And so what they're doing with these people is saying, if you got 3 kids, we're going to give you like $900 or if it's a combination thereof, anywhere between say $750 and $900. I mean, if you have 4 kids, you're making over $1,000 cash. But remember, you have very little expenses. So that's like, okay, so if you're a waitress, a single mom who's like got varicose veins going and standing on your feet every day, or you're somebody, the reason they're offering $2,000 sign-on bonus to like stack boxes in a warehouse, or $1,000 to go get a job at McDonald's, bonus, sign-on bonus, is because government is working against them. The government's saying, well, don't go work at McDonald's. Just live under the wealth, live below the poverty line, and we're going to give you, we'll give you that $1,000 a month. You see what I mean? So this is another disincentive for people to work. So why would somebody want to get a job? So now let's look at this in another perspective. So say they extend that unemployment bonus thing and the eviction where they can't evict you, so you're not paying rent. So now you have people who are not necessarily below the poverty line, right? Who might still, have a nice apartment, right? And all that jazz. And they're saying, not only are we going to extend your unemployment and you don't have to pay your rent anymore, right? Remember, you're not on Section 8 housing, but you may as well be because you don't have to pay your rent anymore. But we're going to give you, if you got 3 kids, 2 or 3 kids, 2 kids. If you got 2 kids even in high school, we'll give you $500 cash. And see, the average person goes, well, $500 isn't a lot of money. Well, $500 cash, if you're not paying rent, right? And you got, free this, free that, is cash money for you to do whatever you want to, And I know, because I live in a neighborhood like that. And when I walk up and, like I say, this, I repeat things because I know, because I have such low viewership that I know I don't have consistent, the same people viewing these shows. But I look in on garbage day, if I'm walking up the street to go get something, the convenience store, walking down the street to the grocery store or something, and it's garbage day, because I always go early in the morning. I like to, if I'm going to do something, it's like I'm up early doing this. It's 5:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I'm up early. So if I want to go to the grocery store today, which I could well do, well, actually, it's a Sunday. They don't open till 8 o'clock. But usually they open at 7. They used to open at 6. And I used to walk down the street at like 6 o'clock, 5:55. It takes about 10 minutes to get to the grocery store. It's about a mile, or a little over a mile. And I'd look in these recycling things as I'd be walking down the sidewalk, because they'd all be on the sidewalk. Well, it's in your face. It's not like I'm nosy. And I know this street is pretty much low rent, and low mortgage. Like I say, my taxes, insurance, and mortgage is less than $200 a month. Okay, so you get the picture? So the rentals in this there's probably people in this neighborhood paying less than around $400 a month rent, which is probably around, I think you get up to 450 is like what they call Section 8 housing. They'll give you that allowance. So usually the rentals, these guys who are slumlords, they used to call them, they usually keep their rent so that it's in line with whatever the government's willing to pay them. Right. So I'll walk past these places that some may be people who actually did what I did, were able to buy and have this ridiculously cheap. In other words, my taxes, mortgage, and insurance are cheaper than people's rent. $200. Think about it. But I'm walking down, and if it's one of those, people put out their recycling, day, every other week or something. It's a recycling week or something. And in that recycling thing are Heineken bottles, decent looking bottles of wine, like brand name liquor, that kind of stuff. And in the other, yeah, and then poking through their plastic bag is some kind of, are these pizza boxes, delivery pizza boxes and stuff like that. And these are supposedly people living at the poverty line, and they're drinking like imported beer, brand liquor, and getting delivery pizza, delivery food, and delivery pizza is expensive now. And even in this part, it's like you can pay like close to $20, $18-20. It's not cheap. That's a lot of money, when you're on the poverty level. But anyway, that's what these people do. And so now, so you don't have to pay your rent if they extend this. So will they or won't they? That's the title of this show. And we'll find out today or tomorrow. And in September, we'll find out if they go with the unemployment extension. But this thing that I have on the screen now, this enhanced child tax credit, like I say, when you look at it, it makes it clear that this is a tax credit payments. And when this was issued to me, I got an email of this. All right. It said $432 per family just went out. So they had, I guess sent this blanket payment out just so that I can test the system and get people knowing that it's real and you got money and more is coming. But I didn't get $400. I don't have any kids, but I didn't get $432. And like I said, that money's not going to the kids. See, this is the thing. They say, this is going to lift children out of poverty. How's it going to lift a child out of poverty? It's going to keep them in poverty. That's the welfare state. Even Bill Clinton was smart enough to dismantle some of the welfare state back in the 90s because he realized it was keeping people in poverty. And I'm no fan of Bill Clinton, okay? I'm not a fan of any politician, really. But do you understand what I'm saying is that the child already has free food. So the child can eat all at once. The child could become a diabetic, get type 2 diabetes. That's how much food. Because I go to the grocery store and I see these people buying things. When I say these people, I'm one of them, okay? But, people with an EBT card. All right, I'm not talking about, that's not some kind of slur. Don't get me wrong. All right, you got to watch your words now because people just I'm saying these recipients, I should say. All right, because I'm one. I live at the poverty level, below the poverty level, because my expenses are it's intentional. I'm retired. And like I say, I got all this junk on this set. I got these computers. I don't need anything. I mean, there's some things I need. I need a roof being fixed. Send me some Bitcoin. And I'd like to get a couple solar panels because I got a feeling that we might be looking at a grid down situation at some point. Because the infrastructure, whether they pass an infrastructure bill or not, the infrastructure in this country is totally out of control. But when I go down to the supermarket and I watch someone pay with their EBT card in front of me and somebody in back of me, what's in their cart, I see frozen pizzas, bags of chips, cases of soda, candy, just junk and overpriced stuff. I don't see then you look at my cart and I've got blueberries, broccoli, what I mean? Oats, Quaker oats, maybe some condiments for my salads, extra virgin olive oil. I'm buying, I'm actually buying real food, produce, non-processed foods. And my bill is less than the bill of the person in front of me that's got all this crazy stuff. So, excuse me. So you're not uplifting anyone out of poverty. You're maintaining poverty because the parents are getting that money and they're just going to spend it on cigarettes and alcohol and whatever. The problem with the people who, these utopian, socialist utopian concepts, like read Walden too, but they don't even get into it in that. But is that there's this idea that, they ignore the real fact of, it's like in like places like Chicago and stuff where, there's so many murders, every weekend, right? If I didn't do that, I would have had like a sneezing fit. And you don't want to see that. I'm one of those people that I don't just sneeze. I sneeze like 5 times in a row. It's like, I don't know, 1 out of so many people does that. I've always done it. It's a ridiculous thing. Hydrate with water. I'd rather drink water than that cold coffee. So the parents get the money and say, okay, well, say they don't use it on drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and stuff like that. All right. They're still just going to use, the parents are going to use it. How's it lifting the kid out of poverty? The kid is free health care. They've got a free cell phone. They've got, if they're that young, they're free daycare so that, the nanny state's taking care of them. They get free meals, right, at school because they qualify for that. And then they come home and they got all this junk food that their parents bought with their EBT card. And like I said, if they get sick, they get free health care, no deductibles. And they're living free in this house. So how's it going to lift people out of poverty? No, it's going to it's the reinvention of the welfare state, right? And then you tack on to that, on the other side, other people who weren't below the poverty line necessarily. And suddenly you're saying, oh, they don't have to pay their rent and they could keep getting money from unemployment if they continue that. So it's an interesting thing. So the first shoe to drop from the Great Reset was this thing I just popped up on the screen. This child, what they call a credit, is actually a payment. So it's it's what did they call that? Like the the free money thing was, there was a name, like some kind of they wanted to get a guaranteed income, something like that. Is that what it was called? Like something guaranteed income or whatever. Well, that's what this is. That's what that is. That's the first step of a guaranteed income. So they're encouraging you to have a couple of kids. And so when you look at, and this hits, and people in poverty have more children than people who don't. And that's just a statistical fact. That's not some type of criticism. You see? That's just the statistical fact. Right? And so, this is a guaranteed income from the state. And so why would someone want to go? I don't know if you can see this on my microphone. I put this thing on there. It's a guitar. It's like a metal, heavy metal guitar, but it's kind of semi-hidden. I just added that to the thing yesterday. I had this pin. I don't wear pins. Pins on my lapel because I don't have a lapel. So, yeah, it's crazy what's going on. It's pretty crazy. But I don't care. Either way, that's the thing. I'm just pointing this stuff out. I just think that what's unfair about it is that why should one person, one group, or a certain individual get money, and this is irregardless of color, creed, or any of that nonsense that they throw out there, right? I mean, like I say, I live in a neighborhood that's pretty basically kind of low rent, low mortgage, and it's mixed. All right. It's not like it's, one particular ethnic or racial or religious group of people. This is just people living, at or around the poverty level. All right. So that's not it. That's not the thing. The idea is that if why should someone, they're encouraging people to just have these kids. And then what are they doing? Are they really taking care of these children? Or they're just kicking them off to the nanny state and sitting at home watching daytime TV or Netflix? Since they can afford Netflix because they got, $900 or $1,200 coming in. And the kids come home and, they just go in the kitchen and take out, some microwavable snack and, and eat it. And so, I mean, this is, it's pretty interesting what's going on. So why would someone want to work at McDonald's? So that's why McDonald's is implementing these. That's why robotics are starting to take over. Because they know that they're not going to be able to get anybody. In the interim, they're offering $1,000 to you if you want to come work at McDonald's. It's ridiculous. Imagine a sign-on bonus. Sign-on bonuses used to be things that were like only in the corporate world, It would be like almost like headhunter type of thing if they were trying to like pull you from another company. They'd say, look, come on, leave that company, come with us, we'll give you a couple of grand, or whatever. A sign-on bonus to work at McDonald's, $1,000 sign-on bonus. Think about that. $2,000 to work in a warehouse, basically, wheeling boxes around, stacking boxes. Right? And people don't want to, and the jobs aren't being filled. They're all over the internet. And people are going, well, why would I want to lift a box? Why would I want to take a job? What's $1,000 sign-on bonus? I'm getting $1,000 a month just because I have, 3 kids or close to it. I get that. No, I almost get that in 1 month. Why would I, so why should I bother going to work? Yeah. So, and who knows what else they've got coming down the pike, right? It's crazy. So these, it's pretty, it's interesting. Anyway, I'm running way too long on this show, I think. So it's like, I guess it's time to say good morning. And I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, and I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not there yet. I still got pains and all that stuff. But go to TonyCaravanLive.com and get a shirt or something. Support the webcast. All right?